Well, hey guys, I'm back, and I have something a little different, okay? I bought a knife in this box. I bought it not because it had great reviews. I bought it because it had a lot of negative reviews, which is weird, but it was one of those things where I was kind of said to myself, well, if people are saying so much negative stuff about it, I have to check it out. Now, it also had good reviews, don't get me wrong, okay? But I was curious about it. I liked the look of it, and I said, what is up with that? Let's take a look. So this is the Ontario 8696 Bushcraft field knife, and it reminded me a little bit. So if you remember, we a while ago we looked at the BPS HK1S, okay, which I loved. I thought that this might kind of correlate a little bit to the BPS. And I also understand that this is kind of a new generation of it, or a new repackaging. Once upon a time, I think it came with more of a leathery kind of bushcraft-like sheath, and it came with a ferro rod with it and a sharpening stone, something. And so this today is the modern packaging for it. It used to be a little different, which is what I get from reading the reviews anyway. Now, Ontario has a really good reputation. They make some great knives. They also make a few turkeys here and there. So we get the Ontario warning, disclaimer, limitation of liability. So they're saying, yeah, you must be 18 years or older, or you're certifying anyway that you're 18 years of older. Because we know, and this comes up a lot on this channel too, there are states where you can be below 18, where there are teenage years where you can legally buy and own a knife, but you know, that's what they're saying. And basically, you use this for illegal crap, it's on you. You cut yourself because you're not using it safely, it's on you. And this is, about the Ontario Knife Company. Ontario makes one of my favorite knives of all time, the .499 Army Air Force issue survival knife. But this is the Bushcraft Field. It is flexing. I think it is 1065 stainless steel. I'll look that up, and of course, correct that if I'm wrong. But so we've got a sheath, kind of a standard nylon. Some people were in the comments were saying, "Oh, why does a Bushcraft knife come with a tactical sheath?" You know how much I hate using the T word for anything, but. So it's got a plastic insert inside the nylon, and this doesn't seem to do anything. Maybe if we put it in this way, I guess if you put it in that way, it sort of holds it, but I'm right-handed. And so natural carry for me would be like that. And does this move at all? Okay, oh, all right, it moves. I'm sorry. Duh, I'm an idiot. I hope someone out there is keeping Doc P as an idiot score chart, so we know. Okay, so that does work. And then this is adjustable. For what I don't, why? Probably because Ontario uses the same sheath for multiple things. Okay. Is that snapped? Okay, so decent retention. And then you do have a pouch over here that you can put a sharpening stone or a ferro rod or whatever you want in there. And belt loop. And this looks like you could use it with Pal's webbing, attach it to Molly style gear. Okay, cool. I don't have a problem with this sheath, but there are people very upset that it didn't have like a leather sheath to go with this knife. They said the style didn't match. And I can understand, like, all right, but of all the things to bitch about, I think that's kind of ridiculous. One of the biggest complaints I saw, though, online is that this blade is too thin. All right. It is a little thinner than the BPS. It definitely is. I wanted to compare it to some of the... I happen to have, like, again, my big Mora collection is in storage, but you should always have a Mora wherever you go anyway. So this is a Mora companion, and the blade on the Companion really isn't any thicker. Not by a considerable amount anyway. And this is a basic 546. Yeah, and the Mora Basic isn't any thicker really. And these, I think people would agree, are fine bushcrafting blades, you know? And okay, sorry, so I should back up. So what people were saying was that the blade is too thin for bushcraft. That is a legit complaint I saw multiple times. Now, maybe what they meant is that the blade is too thin for the length, because you'll see it is considerably longer than either of these knives. It is a bit longer than the BPS. The BPS has no flex. None. The Companion, slightest bit, and the Basic, slightest bit. But the Ontario does have a bit of flex in it. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Flexibility in your blade, you know, to a small extent, to a small to moderate extent, is good. Means your blade's not prone to snapping on you during various tasks. Now, this is only part one, by the way, of a two-part video, because right now is the tabletop kind of, you know, unboxing and review of this. Obviously, I have to take this outside and do some tasks with it, right? But this is just kind of looking at the knife overall, getting a sense of it, and comparing it to some other blades. Because, you know, we can look at it and get a general sense, but we have to take it outside. I mean, we can't say yay or nay without doing stuff with it. But I'm telling you that a lot of the negative reviews I saw, 1 and 2 star reviews, had to do with the thinness of the blade. And a lot of these people didn't say that they actually used it for anything. They're like, I got it out, I opened it up, and I saw how thin the blade was, and I can never use it for any kind of tasks. I don't know if this would make a good chopper. Yeah, that's true. But for, you know, bushcrafting isn't all about chopping stuff. And listen, let me back up also and say, like, I'm not declaring myself as an expert in bushcraft. No, not at all. But there are some basic kind of tasks that you would do out in the bush, in the field, in the woods with a knife, you know, and you don't need a 1/4 inch thick steel billet to do those things. So the bevel on this is a little uneven. That's something I look at now, something I didn't always look at. And if you take a look, I hope you can see it. Look at the amount of grind on here on this side, and how much, I don't know if it's coming out on camera, I can see it, how much thinner it is on here. You see how much more than on here? I don't know if it's coming out right. I can see it is a much, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a bigger angle on this side than it is on this side. Now, that doesn't mean that the knife's not going to be sharp. It's just, it's not even. And you know, that could mean that when you go to sharpen your knife, so that's a big deal, because when you resharpen, if you try to, you know, the angle is different. Literally, the angle is different on each side. So you'd have to adjust for that to make sure that you're getting it. Or, you know, then you take out one of your guided angle systems and you reprofile the whole thing to make sure you have the even angle on both. So that is a quality factor. That's something that I would look at. And we've got like micro beveling going on here on the BPS that I'm not going to talk about, and same thing on these guys. But yeah, whatever. So let's start with just some cutting money on the blade. Let's see where let's just do this. It is sharp, but I can there's a certain, I don't know how to describe it, a little bit of a, I don't know if you can hear it in the money too. Yeah, it's going through the money, but I would definitely want to maybe just refine that edge a little bit, and you know, whereas, can you hear the difference in the cutting? this Mora is just refined better, and the funny part is it's like a fraction of the price. So yeah, I could take this out, and yeah, I could use it right away, but I'd want to refine that edge. I mean, for my preferences, it's perfect to go, I would probably want to take a little bit of I mean, what I would want to do, honestly, is take my Lansky, and I'd want to redo both edges so I knew that they were like on a perfect, say, 25-degree angle matching each other. But that's a whole nother story. But I feel like it would benefit from giving it a little bit of some stroppiness, and then a diamond, a diamond, fine diamond, and then a stroppiness at least. Let's do our slice. And see, the slice was not bad. Very minimal effort, hardly any effort at all, and a fairly clean cut. Pull through. Pull through a little bit of effort. I mean, I'm not complaining. Not bad. There's been much worse. So a little rough on the very fine cutting, like the money, very fine, but it cut through the cord very nicely, very easily. So yeah, I mean, so I would say out of the box, you could take this thing and start doing what you want with it. I'm not that concerned. Again, if you want to really do what you got to do and for personal preferences, really refine that edge, sure, go for it. Handle is, I believe it's walnut. If I'm wrong, I'll put it in text, but that's what I remember reading. Walnut handles, and made in the USA, so we got that going for us, and we like that. It's a comfortable handle. It's very smooth. There's a little bit, and this was one of the complaints about a slight mismatch between scale size, and I can feel there's a little bit of blade stock coming through there. You know what though? When you put your hands on it, I don't really feel it, and if you were wearing some kind of light work gloves or whatever, you wouldn't even notice. But you can see slight little palm swell there. Comfortable, slightly slimmer design than say the basic, and the more and the companion, I mean, just slightly, and about comparable to the BPS. What I like is that you got a little more handle than the BPS, just a little more. Weight is pretty good. Little back heavy, but not that concerned about it. I feel like you get a good grip on it. If it got very wet or whatever, I could see a little slippage going on, so maybe a little lanyard around your wrist. But that flex is what really bothers people, and I'm not sure that they really understand that a little flex in a blade when you're doing some hard work is good for you. You don't want a perfectly rigid, brittle blade. The BPS even, I don't know if you can see it, even gives just slightly, but it's also an entirely different kind of steel, I think. So, I think a lot of the complaints about this thing that I saw online were people that, like I said, didn't even try to use it yet. They took it out of the box and looked at it and said, meh. At the same time, they'd probably look at a Mora and say great, Moras are awesome. I'm not downplaying Mora. A Mora is an excellently reliable, low cost bushcraft in the field, in the woods, camping, whatever kind of knife. But if they would compare the blade stock width to the Mora, they might feel kind of stupid for what they said about this one. Now, anybody who disagrees with me, I absolutely want you to put it in the comments. Why do you not agree with me that there's nothing fundamentally wrong with the blade width on this knife? Of course, again, this is just part one. We are gonna have to go outside, and I'm going to have to put on my big boy panties. Boy, I hate the cold. But we're gonna go out and we're gonna do some stuff with it. We're gonna put it through some paces and see. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe they're right, and this thing does suck. But I think it's a great blade shape. I think it's a good size for your outdoor stuff. I actually think it's a little big. I think it's a little long. Again, this is, to me, once I got my hands on the BPS, I thought that this was a great outdoors knife. Bushcraft, survival, camping, whatever. I really love this knife. If you remember, I'm gonna put the a link to this in the video description when I not only kind of did an unboxing, but I took it outside and I did some real use on it to try it out. This to me is a great knife, and I want to do the same kind of work with this to see. But $50 knife versus, I think, 25-ish. I could be wrong, and then versus 20 and 15. And remember, these things used to run for like $9.99. Again, everything's more expensive these days, and it's killing me. But these used to be like $10, $15 knives. Now it's like 20 and 15. So very interesting. I'll throw a link also to the product page on Amazon where I found this if you want to check that out. Maybe read some of those reviews for yourself or whatever. But I'm really interested in your guys' thoughts on how you think this is going to perform, or if you have one and you have experience that you want to share. But hopefully, real soon, this weekend, I'll be able to get out and do some real cutting and testing with this. And we'll see. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe everybody that gave it a negative review is right. But I have a feeling that this is going to do just fine. So what are your predictions? It's going to do just fine. It's going to be great. It's going to do It's going to suck. Just standard kind of tasks that we would do when we do take a knife out and just put it through its paces a little bit. What do you guys think? All right, looking forward to doing part 2. I hope you guys are too. Remember that you guys are all absolutely awesome, and I appreciate every single one of you. I'll be back again real soon.